Blizzard unveiled the new Oracle Priest hero talent tree today, and the WoW community has responded by absolutely losing their minds. Hi, it's Llarold, and the Oracle Priest tree looks like it's going to herald a new dawn for group utility in WoW. This is like a nuclear bomb made out of external cooldowns. So let's just dive directly into this tree and see why it's so insane. As we can see here, it's a holy/discipline priest sub-spec, and the top talent is Premonition, which replaces Power Infusion. It is a 1-minute base cooldown, and it works like this. You divine the future and gain access to a spell that gives you an advantage against your fate. You get 3 options, and it seems like it's randomly chosen, which kind of makes this pretty weird. The first option is Solace, which gives the target 25% increased healing taken for 10 seconds, which is a pretty incredible tank cooldown, or I guess priority healing target cooldown for some raid fights, but getting that as something that you want to hit on cooldown is kind of weird. Insight gives your target 10% more magic damage for 10 seconds, and Glory gives your target 10% more physical damage for 10 seconds. This is also a little strange because there are a lot of specs that do a mix of physical and magic damage. Ret Paladin, Enhancement Shaman, they probably would want both of those, but then there are a lot of specs, Fury Warrior, Frost Mage, that just do one, that are clearly going to be the priority target for getting that. So you kind of feel a little like the people who do hybrid damage are a little bit outcast on this, at least just reading the top talent. Now, it'll come into focus a little bit further as we go on down, and let's just do that now. Preventative Measures increases the damage absorbed by Power Word Shield by 10% and the healing done by Prayer of Mending by 10%. This is pretty straightforward, 10% more healing on some of the major heals that the 2 specs have. Preemptive Care increases the duration of Atonement by 1 second and increases the duration of Renew by 3 seconds. That's basically one more tick on Renew. That's okay. The added second of uptime on Atonement is small. I mean, it's the smallest amount they could possibly give to Discipline Priests, and it still feel like any bonus at all. But that is one more second that you're not having to spend reapplying Atonement. You're able to just continue channeling that healing through to... I mean, that's how Disc Priests heal, right? You apply Atonement to people, then you do damage. That's how the healing is done. So any addition to Atonement's duration at all means there's less time doing setup and more time actually doing throughput. So that's useful. And then over on the right hand side, we have Waste No Time and Miraculous Recovery as a choice node. Premonition causes your next Power Word Radiance, Heal, or Prayer of Healing to be instant cast and cost 15% less mana. This seems particularly appealing for Holy Priests because they have so much difficulty healing while they're moving, but also Power Word Radiance being usable instantly and costing less mana is pretty good too. I think both of these seem really, really strong. The alternative of Miraculous Recovery reduces the cooldown of Power Word Life by 3 seconds and allows it to be usable on targets below 50% health. Useful, but not necessarily as generically useful as Waste No Time, which is just always adding a really nice healing bonus onto using Premonition. In the next row, we have Assured Safety, Power Word Shield, misspelled it. Power Word Shield applies 1 stack of Prayer of Mending to your target, and Prayer of Mending casts apply a Power Word Shield to your target at 20% effectiveness. So kind of a little bit of sort of sharing back and forth between the 2 specs. Basically just adds a little bit of extra healing or shielding onto the base rotation, the base healing skills that you use. So that's okay. In the middle here, we have Prompt Deliverance and Divine Feathers in a choice node. Prompt Deliverance reduces the cooldown of Purify by 2 seconds. That's your Dispel. That could be useful if they keep affixes like Incorporeal, or if they just simply have Mythic Plus dungeons or raid fights, I guess, that require removing diseases or that sort of thing, then I guess having cooldown reduction on that's pretty useful, but otherwise, I don't know, it doesn't seem that great. Divine Feathers, when an ally walks through your Angelic Feather, you're also granted 100% of its effect. That seems amazing. I love that talent on Paladin, the ability to throw freedom onto somebody else, and I also get the benefit of it. If I could cast Tiger's Lust onto somebody else and get the benefit myself, I would absolutely adore that as a talent. So that seems pretty nice to be able to Angelic Feather somebody else and also get it yourself. It would be nice if there were some sort of personal benefit for throwing it under your own feet, but then I guess that would incentivize just keeping it for yourself, and really the point here is to prioritize group utility, so I think that's okay. Now over on the right side, we have Foreseen Circumstances. Pain Suppression reduces damage taken by an additional 10%, and Guardian Spirit lasts for an additional 2 seconds. I think this is incredibly imbalanced. Guardian Spirit lasting for 2 extra seconds is like, fine, it's nice, but 10% more damage reduction for Pain Suppression is quite substantial. And I think that those are definitely not equivalent to each other at all. You probably would want to see either like some sort of cooldown reduction on Guardian Spirit, or maybe even more duration, like another 5 seconds would maybe make this feel a little bit more balanced. But as it currently stands, I think that that discipline bonus is significantly stronger than the Holy One. And now, what a perfect name for a talent. Now we get to the actual meat of the insanity of this tree with the next talent, Grand Reveal. When your power word shield is fully absorbed by your Prayer of Mending Heals, you gain a stack of Grand Reveal. At 150 stacks, you gain an additional charge of Premonition. So this means that Premonition probably has charges, not just one cooldown, which means you're not reliant on sitting, like basically using it instantly on cooldown, or the problem of sitting on the cooldown that you use to boost people's damage. It makes it look as though there are multiple charges for this skill, which means you can throw several of them out all in quick succession for a burn phase on a raid boss, or on a Mythic Plus boss for that matter. Or just at the start of a Mythic Plus dungeon when you pop Lust and everybody has all their cooldowns going, you could throw out however many charges of Premonition there are, 2, 3, who knows, and get everybody's damage really, really rolling. And this gives you the ability to basically get more charges of Premonition within that same window of time, just by doing your normal healing rotation. Here we have Perfect Vision, which reduces the cooldown of Premonition. It's in a choice node with Versatile Divinations, which gives Premonition the ability to trigger Brilliance and Urgency. Urgency is very good. It increases your target's haste by 12% for 10 seconds. It's sort of like throwing a pseudo power infusion into the Premonition, which is pretty incredible. Brilliance, I'm a little less impressed by. It restores 5% of your target's maximum mana. I think the idea here, other than for arcane mages, is that you would then use this on healers, but I can't really see any of these 3 bonuses being that useful on a healer. Insight, maybe. More magic damage for a healer. I would imagine you'd want to put that on a caster of some kind, like a fire mage, or, you know, insert caster DPS, not onto a healer. And the same goes with physical damage. You'd certainly want to put that onto some sort of physical damage dealing spec, and not, what, a holy paladin? Be reasonable. Maybe Solace you could justify putting onto a healer, but I do think that this particular component of this is quite strange, unless it applies to yourself specifically, in which case getting 5% of your max mana back for using Premonition, basically a 1-minute cooldown, that's insane. That is more than twice as strong as the Blood Elf Racial. So pretty good, considering that you're going to be getting potentially more than 1 Premonition per minute thanks to Grand Reveal. I think that's more than competitive with Blood Elf Racial. Quite good. And over here on the right hand side, we have Divine Providence and Fate Bender. Divine Providence makes it so that all of the Premonition effects last for 2 seconds longer, which is pretty nice. Presumably that would also apply to Urgency here, so that extra little bit of, not exactly a power infusion, but, you know, still 12% haste for now 12 seconds seems pretty juicy when you're combining that with 10% more physical damage or 10% more magic damage. Or you could get Fate Bender, which makes Premonition's effect be increased by 30% if the divine spell is different than the previous Premonition. So if you're rotating back and forth between Premonitions, you would get, instead of 10% more magic damage for whoever you're putting it on, 13%, 13% more physical damage, 13% more magic damage. That seems pretty juicy. And then this is where this really all comes together and becomes truly, truly crazy, is at the bottom of the tree. Clairvoyance. Premonition has a low chance to grant you clairvoyance. What is that low chance? Is low chance 1? Is it 25%? We don't know, but it grants your target and 2 nearby allies all the effects of Premonition at 100% effectiveness. So now you're not just giving them 10% more magic damage or physical damage or increased healing, you're giving them all 3, and it's cleaving onto 2 extra targets. This is absolutely buck wild, and it makes every single other talent in this tree be completely recontextualized. You have Divine Providence giving you 2 extra seconds on now all of those bonuses when that triggers. You're having Versatile Divinations, potentially triggering urgency on all 3 of those targets, giving everybody 12% haste in addition to 10% more damage of all types and 25% more healing taken. You have Grand Reveal giving you more chances to cast Premonition and trigger Clairvoyance in the first place. Truly, this is an absolutely insane tree. It's very clearly influenced by a lot of the things that made Augmentation Evoker extremely appealing and powerful in its initial run. And I mean, it's insane. The amount of fighting and jostling that people are going to be doing to get Premonition is definitely going to put the fighting over Power Infusion to shame. And I think that's pretty cool, actually. I think that this is going to make Holy Priests certainly more appealing than they were before. It's going to make Disc Priests, who've already had a stranglehold on Mythic Plus and Raid for a long time, be even more in demand. And again, I think it's pretty tight. It does put a lot more pressure on the people playing Holy and Discipline to correctly manage who they're putting the Premonition buffs onto from moment to moment, or I guess minute to minute. But I think that's a good thing. I think that adds even more room for people to demonstrate their skill as players, and that's all really interesting. It'll definitely give something for add-on developers and weak aura developers to do as well. They're going to be automating the thinking of this at some point, but at least in the early days of the expansion, when people are sort of figuring things out, it'll definitely give priests a bit of a chance to expand their brain, and that's always fun. If this is the starting point for priest, and we can hope that there's going to be this level of complexity for other specs, then I think the War Within is going to be a truly special expansion, because this is genuinely incredible, and I can't wait to see even more. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm very excited. Bye.